Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Photographic Exposure and Studio Lighting. Today we dive deeper into high-key photography. A high-key image, by definition, is one in which the vast majority of the frame is bright, and the darker areas occupy a very small percentage of the total area. As a rule of thumb, or, more simply, wet-looking regions should exceed 70% of the frame. Only then do we call it a high-key photograph. High-key images convey delicacy, cleanliness, elegance, and a fresh, airy mood. They are often used for children, young women, and similar themes. But the concept of high-key lighting should never be confined to specific subjects. Below we present 20 high-key shooting methods across 5 genres, all are illustrated with real cases. Genre 1, Architecture. High-key treatment of buildings. When the architecture itself is white or light-toned, it is naturally suited to a high-key approach. Any pale hue qualifies. In such situations, a high-key rendition is ideal. Shoot upward around midday, the sky becomes a clean, bright backdrop. Simply apply positive exposure compensation, letting the sky blow out or retain minimal detail. The frame instantly reads as high-key. The resulting photograph displays an overall high-key atmosphere. Let's examine the sample image. Method 2. When buildings are shrouded in mist, a correct exposure renders the fog as light gray, not pure white. To push it to white, we deliberately add between plus 0.7 and plus 1.3 EV until the mist is on the verge of clipping. The darker architecture then seems to dissolve into the whiteness, lending the image a futuristic mood. Method 3. Minimalist interiors. Notice that most interior walls are painted white or off-white. This provides an instant high-key canvas. We can therefore adopt a high-key aesthetic. If a dark element is included, that element automatically becomes the visual anchor, the subject. Viewers' eyes are drawn to it immediately. Use this sparingly for impact. Method 4. High-key still needs detail. Many enthusiasts, in pursuit of high-key, blow out large portions of the image. This is not inherently wrong, but it must be intentional. Consider a lifestyle shot of a bright living room. If every white surface clips, the frame is clean yet emotionally cold. The home feeling evaporates. Therefore, when metering, allow whites to sit just below clipping. A trace of tonal information keeps the image natural and inviting. Next, for high-key portrait strategies. Strategy 1. Use high-key to isolate the subject. Any mid-tone or dark area in a high-key frame instantly commands attention. Thus, placing the model in mid-dark clothing against a bright backdrop immediately focuses the viewer. The person becomes the undisputed center of interest. Strategy 2. Train yourself to spot high-key locations. Everyday life offers many. Snowfields, white sand, frosted windows. Take skiing. A straightforward, graphic high-key image is only a click away. To keep the snow pristine, careful raw development is essential. Watch the histogram. Strategy 3. Feminine delicacy through high-key. A bright environment enhances fair skin and conveys purity. The mood becomes ethereal, letting choice. Front or front side butterfly or modified loop. Keep the main exposure on the face. Add plus 0.5 to plus 1 EV for extra brightness. This emphasizes the high-key aesthetic. Do not blur the skin, retain poor detail. Highlight, don't clip. Strategy 4. Black and white for cleaner high-key. In monochrome, not only tonal values matter, original colors also translate to different grays. A vivid red dress may become a distracting mid-gray. If that mid-gray is not the subject, convert to B and W and selectively lighten the offending color channel. Raise red luminance, for example, to push the dress toward white. The frame becomes purer, more immaculate. the real subject gains prominence. Next, 6 high-key flower studies. Study 1. White flower brighter than background. Photographing white on white demands precision. A slight overexposure and both subject and background clear. A slight underexposure and the image turns murky. Aim for the flower to sit just above the background brightness. Use spot metering on the petal. Petal plus 0.3 eV, background allowed to blur. This separation keeps the subject identifiable. Practical tip: let the petals overexpose slightly, while retaining detail in the surrounding whites. See the sample, petals bloom to 255. But veins remain visible. Environment holds minimal texture, enough to suggest space, not enough to distract. Simultaneously, this contrast separates bloom from backdrop. High key, yet readable. Study 2. Background brighter than flower. Backlit or studio strobe situations, you can render the background pure white and keep the flower slightly darker. Use a white acrylic sweep behind the bloom. Add a rim light to edge the petals. Control flash output carefully. White flowers clip very easily. A silver reflector on the shadow side restores mid-tone detail without grain. 23. Color pop through high key. As noted earlier, saturated colors need not be bright themselves. Against the high key surround they sing. When color is the story, build a bright set and let the hue dominate. Side note: white props help. A white pot separates red petals from already wet background. Place a white orchid against an eggshell wall. The subtle shift in luminance keeps the flower visible yet soft. This is high-key subtlety. Separation without contrast. Result: color is emphasized, not brightness differences. Study 4. Do not sacrifice naturalness for simplicity. A common mistake is to chase pure white rectangles. High key is defined by overall brightness, not by clip channels. If large areas hit 255, the image feels sterile. Allow micro detail in white zones, a grain of wood, a thread in linen. These textures keep the photograph believable. Natural beats clinical. Dial back the eve until just before clipping. Natural is always in style. Detail equals durability. Study 5. High key welcomes color. Color influences mood even when luminance is high. If the entire palette shifts toward, say, pastel pink, the image feels softer, more romantic. Use white balance shift or HSL to bias the hue. See the example: a faint magenta wash turns a white rose into a dreamlike subject. Brightness stays high, yet color carries emotion. High key does not mean monochrome white. Let color participate. Harmony, not sterility. Bright plus tinted equals fresh narrative. Special hues make viewers linger. A surprise splash of pastel keeps the image alive. Study 6. Creative B and W high key flowers. With color removed, subtle gray gradations become the star. Creative B and W flower images rely on macro contrast. Every shade of gray is visible. Study the samples. Many tones of very light gray build a luminous, delicate atmosphere. The high-key ambience lets these subtle shifts shine. Clean bright light equals clean grayscale. Detail in the mid-grays prevents blowing white boredom. Tonal nuance is the reward. Next, for high-key landscape interpretations. Interpretation 1. Atmospheric mood. Most traditional Chinese ink paintings, if translated into photography, would be high-key landscapes. This confirms that high key has huge potential in natural scene imagery. The approach is culturally proven. Chief reason: high key scenes contain large areas of negative space. Negative space conveys contemplation. Emptiness invites the viewer to imagine. In misty conditions, raise the exposure compensation slightly. To render the fog almost white, a single dove tree becomes the anchor. A visual haiku: less is more, blankness speaks. The mind fills the wet void with distant peaks. Interpretation 2. Water in motion. Water scenes are common, yet most are shot mid-key. Try the opposite. let the spray blow out, creating minimalist high key. Conventional, but effective. Here is a twist. Instead of a white background, use the white quests themselves as the high key element. Background can even be black. The foam still reads as high key. The juxtaposition emphasizes motion. White spray equals living water. Creative high key does not always demand white backdrops. It demands bright subjects. Innovation, not imitation. Interpretation 3. High key fresh and light landscape. Fresh style equals low saturation, low contrast, high brightness, perfect match for high key. Lift exposure plus desaturate equals instant. Pastel tones complement the mood. Bright pastels feel youthful. Soft palette, soft emotion. Tip: for a gentle, dreamy landscape, push exposure plus 0.5 to +1 stop, then pull saturation 20%. High key meets. Interpretation 4. High key plus blur for emotional weight. A bright, high key frame usually contains empty space. Emptiness invites introspection, fuels project feelings onto blank areas. Mist plus white space equals gentle melancholy. Add shallow depth of field, background melts into creamy highlights. Reality softens into reverie, a mundane scene becomes poetic. High key plus bokeh equals visual whisper. The landscape seems to speak. It hints rather than declares. Finally, to high key still life approaches. Approach 1. Use high key to celebrate everyday beauty. High key still life feels airy, casual, serene. Simplicity conveys comfort, bright white suggests leisure. Look around, white curtains, pale walls, cotton tablecloths. All make perfect high key backdrops. See the sample, a half-empty coffee cup on a white windowsill. Styling must look accidental, not staged. Casual equals credible, yet every element was placed with care. Only controlled casualness feels authentic. Aim for sunlit Saturday morning. Warmth, not sterility. Approach 2. High key sparkle for shiny objects. Browse any e-commerce platform. Diamond rings, platinum jewelry, crystal. All are short high key. Bright surround makes facets pop. White reflects inside gemstones. Amplifying fire. Clean background equals clean product. Moreover, a bright subject feels lightweight, gift-worthy. Viewers subconsciously smile. Happy products sell better. In the scroll line by era. High key sparkle equals higher conversion. Children, too, benefit from high key. Bright palettes show innocence. Parents prefer clean, happy images. Of course, we can still use f1.4 to blur distractions, while retaining overall brightness. With kids, catch lights at everything. So position your key light to create lively sparkles in the eyes. Reuse the butterfly, loop, or clamshell setups we mastered earlier. That concludes our case study tour of high key photography. I hope these examples inspire your next shoot. Take them, adapt them, make them your own. Thank you.